we gave it like one very big pattern to learn from. And instead of learning, it's very important to make your data diverse. It's very important to cover like different regions, like economic classes. So that's what the issue with AI is. These models, they're biased. Hi, I'm Apurva Mishra. I'm an AI consultant.
Hi, I am her dad.
And we are here to teach you AI. I think AI is really important, and this is a technology which you would find more and more in your life and around you. I thought I'll teach my parents. I think it should be accessible to everybody. And this is what the series is about. This is our second episode, and today we are going to explain AI to my dad. And I think this is important to learn what this technology is and the background behind it. Because as you don't understand the technology, you tend to become more fearful and anxious about. So this is what we're going to do in this episode. So Papa, what do you think when I say AI? What's the first word that comes into your mind?
Yeah, what I feel is it is some new technology which is going to resolve all our problems, is going to work as human beings, and it will be faster or more intelligent than human beings. And what we fear about is it is going to eat up into our job, various people's job. That's what I understand.
Papa, what is the first word that comes to your mind when I say AI?
What I have seen people talking about is something like ChatGPT to make certain answers, letters, improving their English rather, I should say.
Yeah, that makes sense. AI became more well-known because of ChatGPT. Everybody started talking about it when ChatGPT came into the scene. It became popular. Mainstream media started talking about AI. But the thing is, AI existed before ChatGPT. Now we refer to that as classical machine learning. And ChatGPT, we refer to the models behind that as generative AI. So what I mean by classical machine learning is like these were machine learning models that you were using and you weren't realizing that you were using. For example, YouTube videos. You watch a lot of YouTube videos and reels. If in YouTube videos, like if you watch a couple of videos about cricket, like T20 cricket or anything, any sports, it would recommend you more videos about that sport. Have you noticed that?
Generally, I have seen the things of your choice keep popping up time and again.
Yes. So that is classical machine learning happening behind the scenes. So what is it's using?
You mean to say it was part of AI?
Yeah. So it's using recommendation models in the background. Like it learns about you over time and it recommends you stuff based on your needs. For example, it would also make a profile about you. Like you are in this certain age, you live in India, you're interested in cricket, and people of your age also like this. So it would recommend you new stuff as well. So based on like data it collects from other people and it collects on you, it's able to recommend you stuff that you would like. So YouTube is one example. Even like when you book Uber cabs or like Ola cab. Ola is an application here in India, which is very similar to Uber. So there as well, there is AI working in the back. There's something called search pricing. So based on like it's 5 p.m. In Bangalore on a weekday, it's going to increase the price because it knows at like 5 p.m. on a weekday in Bangalore, all the office people are going back home. So yeah, it learns with the data and it figures out like I should be increasing the price. So that's called search price. So Uber is an example. YouTube recommendation is an example. Even like Mama, like when Mama shops online, like she was shopping recently for my niece. If she has picked up an orange jumper, it figures out, oh, these clips and this hairband would go along with that jumper, and it would recommend that. Like, do you want to order this along with this? Like, it would figure this out based on other people's data. Like, these people ordered this along with this. And also, like, based on, like, my mom's data. Like, oh, this is how she likes to order things. Like, with the dress, she likes to order, like, a few accessories. So, this is all AI happening in the background, which we never realized. But thanks to ChatGPT, like, the AI word became really popular, and now everyone is talking about it. So, this is what is classical machine learning. But then we move into the Gen AI piece. But what the important piece to remember is like it doesn't matter if it's classical machine learning or if it's Gen AI. Well, it's just a model that's been trained on a lot of data. So data is the most important piece here.
But I am not able to believe when they are going to analyze each and every individual. They have got so many of resources and all to see my habits, my way of functioning, my likings, disliking and all. So they are analyzing each and every individual who is using this rather apps and all those things.
Yeah. And they collect feedback. So if they recommend to you like these 10 videos, and if you choose a video out of it and you actually watch the whole video, that's like a feedback for them. That's a positive feedback. So if Mama is ordering something and she actually picks up the recommendation, the accessories that it recommended, like it's a positive feedback for them. And if she doesn't, it's a negative feedback. And they would like work on their recommendation algorithm. The ranking, the order in which they show those products to her, that is also an algorithm is running in the background, like deciding the ranking of those items. So Yeah, it's just like training a model and it's collect. The main thing behind all the AI out there is the data that's been collected on you. It's like the generative AI models have basically been trained on all the data out there on the internet.
What do you mean by trained? How do they train?
Okay, so there is this example that we use a lot in the education circles when we're teaching about AI. We want to train a model to figure out when given a picture if the picture is of a wolf or the picture is of a husky. So let me show this to you. We have a machine learning model. So imagine just we gave it a lot of new data. That's we call that as test data. So train data is basically it has already seen it. That's what we trained it on. So now we have to figure out if a model works or not. We show it new data, and that's called the test data. So we gave it like new data, like new pictures of new huskies and wolves that it hadn't seen. We knew what the result was, which is a wolf, which is a husky. We were just trying to test if the model can predict it, and it could predict a lot of these things, a lot of the images in which the huskies and wolves, like it could predict it correctly, but in a couple of them it made some mistakes. So I want you to find the pattern that it learned and why it made that mistake.
These are the wrong ones, red color.
The red ones are the wrong ones. So in this one it predicted a husky even though it looked like a wolf, and in this one it predicted a wolf even though it looked like a husky.
And which are not white are, I think, husky.
Yeah. So, so what it did was instead of learning features about how the body of the dog, the husky or the wolf looked, what it learned was the background. So if the background is green, it predicted it as a husky, and if the background was white, it was a snowy background, it predicted it as a wolf. It was our mistake. We trained the model wrong. We
Don't tell me it made background also as a feature, salient feature of husky oblique wolf.
Yeah. So we didn't make the data diverse enough. We didn't take husky pictures with a snowy background or wolf pictures with a green background. So we gave it like one very big pattern to learn from. And instead of learning, yeah, so it ignored the body of the wolf or the husky and it learned this pattern. So it's very important to make your data diverse. It's very important to cover like different regions, different like economic classes. That's what the issue with AI is. These models, they're biased. If the model is trained in the US, it's mostly trained on data on white people. Or if the model is trained in India, it's mostly trained on data on brown people. So it's biased that way. And when we are training a model, we need to remember what's the user, who the users are and who are going to use this model. And we need to make sure that the data is diverse enough to cater to those users. If the model is going to be used in healthcare, it's very, very, very important that we make sure like we are training the model on different races, if the data is diverse to cover those races and their healthcare needs. So that's the one important thing to remember about AI. The other
No, you used word training the system. What do you mean by training? What is the trained?
So in this case, this is a very simple example of what a neural network looks like. Okay, so these when I was saying multiplications and additions, these are like the edges that do that, and these nodes are where weights are saved. So what we are doing is we are giving it an image. So basically, numbers are going in, and we are telling it the output should be a wolf. So wolf could be the number one, and husky could be the number zero. So we are saying when I give these numbers in, the output should be one. And when I give the other numbers in, the output should be zero. And if the output is not what I expect it to be, what I'm doing is I'm doing something called backpropagation. So there is a loss function. So I'm getting very technical here. So there's a loss function. So what it does is if instead of me giving the output one, which is the correct output, I'm giving the output zero. This model is giving the output zero. What I say is, oh, the difference in what the output should be is one, and I'm gonna fix these weights that are saved in here. I'm gonna backpropagate and rewrite these weights so that when I give those numbers again, the output is
Okay.
yeah, the output is the correct output. These are the weights that are finally saved. So once we train a model, these are the weights that are saved, and we give it like the new image, and we expect the output. So that is how we check the loss function. So what the expected output is, and what's the actual output it gave, and what the difference between those two were. And if it's not the same, we try to like rerun it. That is how the training happens, and this iteration happens so many times, a lot of times, and a lot. So for every image, every data point, it runs that, and like it learns those weights, so it's generalizable. So this is a very simple network, but these are huge and of different architectures doing this. That's how we get into like Gen AI piece as well. Gen AI is, so classical machine learning was mostly used for prediction, classification, recommendation. The YouTube example I gave you. The generative AI piece is more about generation. So you have used ChatGPT. So you give it like a text in, it would give you text out. So if you ask it like what is happening in India today, or what's happening in the cricket world, who won the World Cup, it would give you the output. So it's generating the text. So that's why it's called generative. So it can also generate images. You have tried that as well, right? You can ask ChatGPT to generate an image as well. It applies to Gemini as well, Claude as well. Like you can generate images. There are other tools to generate audio. So these new models that have come out are generative, and what they're doing is they're actually predicting the next token. So that's where we get into prediction again. So what it does is like when you say, tell me more about Bangalore. So it was trained on all the data out there on the internet. And it knows like when someone says, tell me more about Bangalore, the next word is Bangalore is a city, because it would have seen something like that in its data. So it's basically doing a probabilistic prediction. So from the vocabulary I have access to, city is the most probable word instead of lake. So because it was trained on so much data, it knows like if someone is talking about Bangalore, this would be the most probable word. So it does the prediction every single time, and that's how it generates a sentence. So based on if I said city, the next thing would be in Karnataka. So it figures the next word would be in, the next word would be Karnataka, and that's how it generates like the whole paragraph. So, but it's the same machine learning training happening in the background. But we refer to the models that I was talking about earlier as classical machine learning, and these ones as generative AI because they're generating. The whole idea behind this video was to explain classical machine learning stuff that was happening before ChatGPT, and it still happens. This is happening, but like generative AI is so hype, like everyone keeps talking about it. Yes, it's doing a lot of stuff, but classical machine learning is still there. And generative AI is the generative part of AI. So it generates images, it generates videos. So you would have seen that a lot in your YouTube or in Instagram as well. Like you would have seen a lot of AI generated videos, like babies playing guitar or like a glass flute cutting videos. Those are all AI generated. So that's where the generative piece comes in. It figures the next token and next token and like generates the output. Yeah.
ठीक.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.